What up, what up? Trending down, episode 25. I mean, shoot, that's crazy to say, but appreciate all the listeners as always. You're what makes this things work. Go hit the YouTube, subscribe, like, get that algorithm flowing. Got myself Ethersole, Bender on the mic. Let's dive in. How we doing, man?
Hey, we're back. Feels good.
We're back. We're doing it timely. We're hitting the spaces. Again, if you don't catch the spaces, we are uploading those to YouTube. Well, the producer is. So shout out to that. They're usually like just a live episode, if you will, but a little more.
They're a lot more casual.
Yeah, way more casual. But let's see. Okay, so we got ETH kind of, in a good spot right now. You have a ton
After
of
a
NFT
lot
stuff.
of fear. People, the minute ETH went down, people were like, "This is it. It's over." You got too complacent. Came right back.
It's kind of ridiculous how quick people are to jump on the whole like, "Oh, yep, we're going back down to 800." I mean, anytime I post something about being bullish on ETH, someone goes, "Oh yeah, like I'll buy when it's under 1,000." I cannot believe still being in that mindset.
No, me either. If you get under 1,000, good for you.
Which
if
is
you buy
exactly
now,
what I
good for
respond
you. Like, who
cares?
cares?
It's exactly what I respond with. I'm like, I would love that, but do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. I guess anything can happen, but I personally don't think that's what's going to go down. Ton of stuff this week, though. Let's touch on it real quick. Like the Dookie Dash key sold.
Yeah, huge move.
That.
Immediately, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, we were like, hey, one of one, that's going to be 7 figures. I guess that's not that crazy of a call, but sold for 1.6 mil.
Which is great. Love to see it.
The
guy made over 4 years of Fortnite. He made $700 and some thousand in 2 weeks of Yuga Labs NFT game. He made 1.6 million.
How wild and how marketable is that?
It's infinitely wild. It's hard to even quantify how nuts that is to just kind of witness, let alone probably be the person of. But marketable wise, for Yuga Labs, insane. They said they had a 40% growth in their player base because of Dookie Dash. And I can only imagine that this is the avenue for them to really push into gaming and say, hey, you may be a pro player in Valorant, CSGO, Dota, whatever it may be, and you might make X amount of money, but there's a spot for you here.
Money always is the number one marketing tool and like the key to driving people to your platform. It's going to be crazy to see that play out. It was wild because he had a 999 ETH bid and then 1,000 ETH bid, and he took the 1,000. There's a world where you probably could have pitted those two bids against each other and like gotten a little more, but I mean 1.6 mil is 1.6 mil.
I think the 999 bid was a bad faith bid. And I only say that because it was from the 9gag CEO, and he was tweeting about it after the fact and saying that they got, as a company, 9gag and Memeland got free marketing for $3, which was the cost of the transaction probably. So I'm not sure they wanted the key. More so they just wanted to be in the conversation of competing for the key.
Interesting. And then like I always go to, is that even worth it? Because you kind of just look scammy and shady doing that. But good press is, or I guess any press is good press type deal?
That's kind of my thought.
Okay.
Who knows? I might be way off base here, but I was just kind of thinking, it depends what bid came in first. If that 1,000 bid came in first and then 999 popped in second, I'm pretty confident I know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Other way around, it's a different story. But the interesting part is that when it sold, you had a bunch of, CT know-it-alls kind of in there saying he had a bid for 1,000, a bid for 999, 1,500 was guaranteed. He should have dangled it longer. And a lot of people agreeing with that. And I don't know if I agree. What do you think?
Well, 1,000 ETH was guaranteed. That's the only thing we can know. There's a ton of what ifs. And to me, it's like, that's such a life-changing amount of cash for anyone on this planet. So like, take this for sure thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
thought.
another wild card here where, okay, the key is a 1 of 1, but you don't actually know what that turns into. I saw some kind of like tinfoil nefarious takes where it's like Yuga Labs controls the like whatever that becomes. you never know if it could become something that's not really worth 1.6 mil. I mean, all these things are so arbitrary in value, but still, it could be something where you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's definitely not like a one of one or something like that,
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where our like capital preservation and like kind of, create your runway to be here longer comes into play. Of if that 1.6 million is a meaningful amount of money that drastically changes your life, your trajectory, you got to take it. Who cares if it's 3 million in a year?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then there's people trying to like tell him how to manage it, and he could take that 1.6 mil and do some serious things and still have exposure to Yuga and all that stuff. So, I mean, I haven't tracked it, but I would be interested to see how he plays it.
Me too. A lot of people, yeah, that was kind of the first thing was, oh, what floors are you sweeping? Does it?
Yeah.
I love the meme, but in my head, I'm just like, man, if I was him, I'd probably buy an ape, hold it forever, take the 1.5 million left, and just kind of like safeguard your life a little bit. Be here longer, get more experience.
A lot of people's takes tell me they don't pay taxes too.
Yeah, me too, which is kind of funny. It's very obvious who does and doesn't pay taxes.
Like, yo, first off, let's put half aside for taxes. Then let's maybe buy an ape. Let's hold like 200K of ETH. And then the rest is like personal runway to, ensure your financial well-being. But who knows?
And I mean, what's the timeline on how far back they can go to ding you for taxes? Isn't it like 20 some years, 25 years? Or am I completely wrong?
I'm pretty sure it's 10 at least.
10?
So,
okay.
Yeah, not something to really mess with. I mean, either way, that's a whole subject in itself.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Yuga Labs, they also announced 12-fold. It's a new collection, 300 NFTs, which are going to be inscribed on Bitcoin. We haven't really talked about ordinals, which are Bitcoin NFTs, that much on the podcast. People have been wanting us to, but it just hasn't come up. But this is the perfect time to do it. How do you feel about it?
I think ordinals are in a better place now. When they first kind of started to catch bids and kind of grew like wildfire, and I'd say the early week of February, there was no wallet for it. It was just, hey, you inscribe these onto a sat that gets sent to a wallet. God forbid someone else sends more sats there because it'll get jumbled. You got to figure out which one has your ordinal on it now. There's a wallet now. It's a little cleaner of experience. I could see the room to run with a better onboarding process, but I think it's more of Yuga Labs saying we're not just the silent hand of BAYC. We're actually an entire studio doing many things.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I don't think I'm particularly bullish on it just because I don't know why. I love the art. I think they look great, but it just doesn't jump out at me as something I need to have or want to own.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just being on Bitcoin is kind of like that friction layer for me. And so that means it probably will do well. I mean, it's also Yuga, so of course it will. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it play out. It's an auction. So I guess let's just, what would your guesstimate be for where these things end up?
Oh, man. I was throwing around numbers last night just for fun, or maybe the day or two ago. I forget when this was announced. I wouldn't be shocked to see 1 Bitcoin for each of them. That's roughly, like 13 ETH. And that's, you put that into ETH terms for a 300 collection of Yuga Labs, it seems a lot smaller. So it's like, okay, it's less than Mutants. It's a 2x from BAKC. So, man, your guess is as good as mine here. I'd say 1 BTC at the lowest. Kind of just depends how much traction ordinals really have in the Yuga ecosystem. What do you think?
I'm thinking they're gonna be ahead of whatever ordinals are the top dog right now. And I think it was like, wasn't at one point one of the punks like 4 ETH floor, 4 Bitcoin, or so 4 Bitcoin ETH, 4 Bitcoin floor,
something like that.
It's gonna be get that down.
Yeah, people were trading across the board for ordinal CryptoPunks for Ethereum CryptoPunks, so they've got to be at least on parity with that at some capacity.
Yeah, so my head, I'm thinking like 5 to 10 Bitcoin per.
No way, you're thinking 200K.
Yeah,
possibly per.
because these are like
Ordinal.
the autoglyphs, like, you know, the
Yeah, you
generative
put it that
art.
way.
But I mean, that to me, an auction gets rid of like the massive upside there, unless you're like one of these ding-a-ling, like, you know, tons of capital, and you're basically hoarding this stuff for some sort of new paradigm where in 10 years, like, oh my God, the first NFTs are now worth, you know, what a Van Gogh is or whatever, some shit like that.
Yeah.
So ridiculous to talk about, but still.
It really is. It's wild.
There's people who are in that camp, so I could see them paying top dollar now for being like, oh, the first Yuga project on Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm gonna, you know, 200K. If that turns into 2 mil, like, yeah, you made a boss move.
Here's what I don't like here. Autoglyphs, when they came out, damn near free, right? It was a time when
Exactly.
NFTs were nothing. They were just a flash in the pan. No one really knew what they were going to be. It was like, okay, this is kind of a cool concept. Yeah, I'll pick a few up for gas cost. This is different, though. We understand NFTs. We have a whole ecosystem around them. I'm not taking a 200K punt on the hope that this is the autoglyph, because the point of the autoglyph was that it was from a, I don't know, time of like past where like NFTs were nothing. This feels different. This feels more of like a curated, we want to be something very big and artistic and autoglyphy. But you're removing the point of the autoglyph, which was, it was historically important.
You cannot replicate historical importance. So trying to almost feels a little forced, you know?
Yeah, and
So
this might be a really bad analogy, but it's like you have cave paintings from the prehistoric times. If I go make cave paintings today, they're not the same. Yeah, they might look the same, be on the same medium, using the same kind of materials. It's different though. So I think if you're buying these, you're taking a bid that you believe in Yuga, you love Yuga, and you truly just want to have one as a collector. I don't know if...
yeah, there's a ton of people who, you know, absolutely made generational wealth from Yuga, and they will, it's like, you know, one of those things like a Tesla stock, right, where it's a cult following, and so whatever they put out, they'll buy. That money gets recycled back into the ecosystem. So there's definitely going to be a solid amount of buyers, but how it turns out, we'll see. I mean, shit, you know, the old tale as old as time. Don't fade Yuga.
Yeah, no kidding. And I believe that, you know, if I'm Franklin and I printed X amount or Y amount off ApeCoin or my yield that I'm getting from staking, and this is a small dollar amount, I'm probably picking one up.
Yep. Why not?
Yeah, they look cool. I think they look really cool, personally.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I mean, if it's, are you going to bid on them if it's like below 1 Bitcoin?
No, I'm too lazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to be completely honest.
Same.
I got to go through a whole process to go do that. I'm just going to watch the auction, look at how cool they look, and say, yeah, that was kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like the Azuki skateboards. I think their auction was sweet. Personally, I think owning the skateboard would be cooler than owning the art that Yuga's putting out, just because the skateboard kind of ties into the overarching lore of Azuki, whereas this is more of Yuga kind of branched out and saying we can do many things. But I got the same enjoyment from watching the skateboard auction that I would get from probably winning the skateboard auction. So I'm going to sit here and watch this auction as well and enjoy the process.
Yeah. I mean, it always blows my mind to be reminded how just loaded the Azuki community is. People
Crazy,
were
isn't it?
bidding like, what was it, like 250K above what they needed to, just for like no reason.
Yeah, they wanted that badge.
They wanted to be number one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which is
Crazy.
so funny to see. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you can't knock
Wouldn't
it.
catch me doing it. No, absolutely not.
I guess you just have stupid money at that point. It's just like, whatever. But I mean, who knows? We'll see how it plays out. We'll definitely cover it here. So if you don't want to watch yourself, we got you. Let's see here. What else we got? Uniswap sounds like they're going to be enabling NFT buying with like any token. I'm not sure how viable that is.
Are they doing the swap for you behind the scenes? Like, you know, if you can do something like, I want to sell this NFT in Ethereum, but then you as the buyer can say, I'll buy it in Magic or I'll buy it in Blur. and they do the swap behind the scenes to give me the equivalent Ethereum,
Right.
it's not so bad.
That's not so. I mean, if anything, at that point, isn't it just? I guess it's
It's just
friction
cutting
for
out
the
a middleman
user,
of like one
right?
swap. Yeah.
You know, like, okay, cool. I have Blur or whatever token it is, Plutus, shout. And I want to change that into ETH. Like, okay, instead of doing that, I just go straight to Uniswap and do it. It's like they're almost like a 1 inch, you know, where there's aggregating that stuff and doing the swap for you. And the swap is going to be way more expensive than it would be if you just did it yourself sometimes. So, not sure how like bullish or anything that is. It's just kind of like, okay, cool, I guess if anything,
sweet.
like more infrastructure, but there's definitely lazy people, so maybe it'll help them out. Who knows?
I'm excited to see it, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it adds any bad things, just something new to watch and pay attention to. Do I think there's a way to like profit off it? Probably not.
Arbitragers and MEV like experts are gonna go nuts, but that's about it.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Sandwich attacks, here they come.
But all right, speaking of infrastructure, we had MetaMask come out, basically say like they're willing to implement their wallet into people's games, like Web 2 type games, to where you could just buy purchases in game with ETH, USDC, whatever it may be. So I think that's super bullish crypto.
Yeah, that's a big step. Unity is used to make a lot of things. And if you have a MetaMask SDK in the asset store, I mean, you can just purchase it and plug and play and drop it in. The complications of the Ethereum.js or the Web3.py, whatever you're using library to do this stuff with, are gone. It's just, hey, you're making a game, plop this guy in there, you have connectivity. Let's run.
You have to make it easy for them. You have to strip the friction if you want adoption. And I think it's funny because all the comments are like, yeah, no one cares when airdrop. But, I think if you're taking a more logical approach, it's good for the space, but also when airdrop.
Yeah. Well, now when airdrop, you have to also have made a game with the Unity Assets Store for the MetaMask thing. You have to be part of that ecosystem to get the airdrop now, or you're diluted.
True.
So go make your game, deploy your game.
Go make your game, get out there, and put them in the MetaMask SDK so people can buy in-game purchases. It would be hilarious to me how this would work and what they run it on, because I guess you could run it on any chain really, because something like Arbitrum, you'd have instantaneous transactions. You're not sitting there waiting for ETH mainnet and paying $5 per transaction of an in-game item. So,
yeah, no, you could do it anywhere. You just change the RPC.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how malleable this SDK is that they're giving out. If it's just linked to one RPC, like, it might be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, true.
But
true.
If you haven't used Unity before, it's shockingly easy to make very simple things. I made like a first-person shooter game over the weekend a few years ago just to play with it. And it's a lot simpler than you'd think. So you might see some really cool stuff come out of this announcement.
All you need is look at what was it, DFK, DeFi Kingdoms. That game was such trash. If you made something just a little more sophisticated, people are gonna go nuts with it.
Right.
Everyone's like begging for an on-chain gaming experience, or at least being able to like feel like they're on-chain, and being able to grind it and earn stuff that you can sell for real world cash is just gonna be like a crazy wave when it happens. There's gonna be some sort of Cambrian explosion like farmland was when Facebook came out, or when it came out on Facebook, and everyone's playing it. There has to be a moment in crypto or just NFTs and gaming and all that stuff, where there's a game that someone makes, it's super easy to play, and then people realize they're making like money in the background, and it just goes ballistic. That has to happen at some point.
Absolutely will. And it comes down to whenever someone solves the player equation of time over money over yield of token, to where the yield doesn't go down as money goes up because people are selling that token to get their money. Mm-hmm. Once that equation's solved in some capacity, it will be crazy.
I can't wait. It's going to be like that onboards hundreds of millions of people, because You hope it's
Infinite amount.
it's an experience where they don't really even know they're all that involved in crypto, but you also want them to know enough that it's there in the background so that they do onboard into the space.
Oh yeah, and it won't be hard. And I keep saying this because it's not going to be, because I've seen enough payment platforms that obfuscate what's being used behind the scenes that you never know how the payment's being processed. All you need to know is that you put in X amount of time to make Y amount of dollars.
Yep.
And if that number is nice to you, you're on board. And you've got thousands of people across the world farming gold in MMORPGs or cosmetics or whatever it may be to actually make livable wages in their countries. If you give them a haven to say, hey, that's not a huge amount of money you're making, but in this thing, it's normalized to the entire like world economy where, you know, $100 a month, you might be making, you know, $4,000 a month on this thing instead. If you can incentivize that kind of thing, it'll be crazy. You'll get people from all ecosystems coming in, just like we had pro gamers coming to play Dookie Dash.
Right, exactly. I mean, you can see the makings of this happening in real time, especially if you're in the space just watching it daily. But I just, you know, can't shake the feeling that this is all going to be like such a no-brainer move in hindsight, maybe 4 or 5 years from now. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't even take that long, but still, of like, wow, it was right in front of my eyes the whole time.
Oh, absolutely. At some point, I will play with this MetaMask SDK. It's too low-hanging fruit not to touch.
Yep. I mean,
Also,
might as well, right?
Yeah, retroactively, great vocab word with Cambrian explosion.
I mean, dude,
Love that. Very niche. Like, what's the word I want here? It's a great term that very few people probably know about. I loved it.
And they're gonna learn today. You know, you're always learning something if you're tuning in. But this is gonna be, I think, a shorter episode. So let's should we dive into Twitter topics? We kind of covered the. Oh wait, before we move on, Dookie Dash round 2 just closed. Toad mode. Thoughts? Just give us a quick synopsis of how you felt about it.
I don't understand how people got such high scores. With the duration game, it made total sense. When you created a definitive start and end to Toad mode, and you saw these scores creep higher and higher and higher, you start doing math on how many toads had to have been collected with, you know, X or Y percentage modifier. And it became so hard to comprehend how good people were. Yep. I do not understand it. You know, I think at one point I said to you, it takes 60 toads to maybe get like 7-8K. And maybe my math is off there, but that was a huge amount of toads.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, well, I don't know, just take this for a grain of salt, but I'm hoping that a lot of people cheated and that the scores get bumped down so that we can end up with one. Did not hit the top 2K, which the top 2K get like this little companion. So it would be add rarity to your sewer pass. But yeah, I mean, it was a cool little experiment. It was nice that at first I thought you didn't have to be a pro gamer to win this. But I mean, now I'm like questioning that thesis because, you know, as you just mentioned, it was almost impossible to break that 7K barrier, let alone like even 6K.
Yeah, I broke 6K once on a T3 that was boosted. Kudos to everyone that is in the top 2K. In classic Counter-Strike fashion, you beat me, so you're cheating. And it's simple as that.
We'll see how it plays out. If there's a ton of cheaters, we'll definitely cover it. But I'm just stoked to finally see the mechs because I know that is like coming real soon on their little roadmap for this whole like sewer pass gameplay, summoning, all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what we earn. I think that's gonna be a huge either potential for number go up or number go down.
Absolutely. You've got to reveal. Right. The reveal usually dumps unless the art slaps, and it's that simple. You've got a handful of things in the ecosystem that people love to pump, and two of the biggest ones are anime and mechs. So we'll see. And hoping for the latter.
So right now, I think my take is they're going to show what the mechs look like, and then you just summon your power source, and it's still going to take a bit to actually build your full mech. That's going to happen over, I think it goes all the way into July or something. But if the mechs reveal, like not individual reveal, but like, you know, just a couple models are shown and they're fucking fire, you could have a speculative like frenzy. And then when they actually reveal, say in July, and like, you know, some floor one, like they could dump off that. So I'm hoping that's the trajectory where like, oh, the sneak peek is fucking flames, and then these things kind of shoot up off of that. That would be a nice way for this to go. And if they dump, I mean, I'll just probably collect more, but there's no way it's not. Like, a sneak peek can be so fire. You could just show the best one.
Yeah.
If you wanted. So we'll see.
Not mad about it. I'm here for it. See what happens. I like the idea of building my mech. I don't know. It gives me like a loyalty to it of like, I'm going to build the best mech.
Right. I mean, there's going to be more games to this too. So it's kind of a crazy process where I'm at least going to keep a couple just so I can participate in that. Right now I have a decent amount because, I mean, just a fan of mechs. So it is what it is, man.
Spot on. We pray for number go up.
We always pray for number go up. That's pretty much what we're here for. I mean, at the end of the day, though, like, it's just a foregone conclusion. So it's one of those, it's a nice spot for us.
Yeah.
We're going to look back episode 125, 100 episodes from now. Probably going to have a totally different podcast structure and everything. ETH is going to be 7-8K. You know, we're just going to be like, hey, I mean, you know, I fucking told you. I mean, we're going to have a ton of new listeners because they're just going to be tourists in the space. And we'll probably be giving them warnings. Hey, ETH is pretty expensive right now. And they'll ignore it and be like, nah, dude, this is a new paradigm. These guys are idiots. And then, we'll see how it plays out. But
I like this manifestation.
Right? Yeah, you got me. See, there we go. We're on it. Same page.
Speaking of tourists, real quick, I've got a secret metric I track to try to find out if we're kind of trending bull or bear lately. And I don't know if it's logical or not. But I look at the followers of big Twitter accounts and say, are they going up or down? Like, Kobe's followers start trending up again, I'm thinking, okay, people are coming to the space that weren't here previously.
Yep. You can almost do it on a smaller sample size because it trickles down to, like, if you're gaining tons of followers per day, the space is usually on a growth cycle.
Yeah. You have to normalize it though too against what's being posted.
Right. If you're not posting at all, you're not going to grow. But
right. I tracked my my followers last week against the Ethereum chart, and the charts were almost identical, which was weird.
Hilarious.
Yeah, like I think it was April or May, the Terra thing happened, or June, and right around then is where like all my followers got gaining numbers just fell off a cliff. Also,
yeah, me too. Like there was months back in full blown euphoria season. I think right around Luna, like you're saying. Didn't really notice at the time, but it was like I probably gained like 2,000, 3,000 a month, and then ever since, I mean, there's months where it's been 100 people, and then like lately the average is about 300 for me. So I mean, obviously the metrics and everything that we're talking about right now don't really matter because it's such an individual basis, but the overall I guess thesis there is that you could probably watch something like that play out. And if I'm gaining thousands again, you're like, ooh, okay, maybe we're near a profit take point.
Exactly. Just trying to find unique ways to quantify when to safely take profits.
Yeah. We're nowhere there. On like my individual basis. I'm saying like no chance because still the follower incoming is just like so slow. You'd wake up to 100 new people a night type deal back then.
Oh yeah. It'd be,
I mean, for nuts. You, it's like, again, it just scales up. So,
I think right now my strategy is still just accrue ETH, wait for some movement, but this is the ETH accrual phase in my time right now.
Absolutely. It's chilling. I think we're in a great spot right now, and there's so much stuff to be doing that I'm not really like all that concentrated on the ETH price itself. There's so much stuff happening in NFTs, blur farming, just building out products on Arbitrum, Plutus, all that stuff, like the podcast. I mean, it's nice to that's the only thing you should be doing right now is just getting more involved if you can. With any spare time you have, there's so much you can be doing right now that if you're just kind of like staring at the chart waiting for a number to go up, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought too.
Like, again, the connections you can make, and it just gains access to things that are beneficial.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, getting in private rounds and stuff like that. Like, there's ways to do that. You just have to make connections.
Right. And it's effective busyness versus ineffective busyness.
Yep.
It's easy to be busy here and wake up in the morning, sit in Discord all day, sit on Twitter, do your blur bids.
Of course.
But then you look back in the last 8 hours, you're like, what did I accomplish? Probably nothing.
Yeah.
But, a lot of those, like the ETH price isn't going to change a whole lot on the day. So you sitting there watching it or like refreshing Twitter for sentiment hits, you could have spent 6 hours building something new, doing something different, making a connection that is valuable.
Yeah.
It's just where you spend your time right now.
Amen.
The time to refresh Twitter constantly and look for alpha is the bull.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, just come on the podcast, folks. We got you.
That's the beauty is like, we're doing all the work already. We're sharing it here. So just
exactly. There's so many episodes. You can go look back and find out some strategies. There's literally a full episode on Blur. I'm going to keep saying that probably until season 2 is done. But like, go back. That had a ton of alpha in it. And the thing that you need to do though is then try your own strategies on top of that, because again, it's this game of like, okay, you find some success. There's people out there who just immediately post it on Twitter. People are going to take that and replicate it, and then you're diluting yourself. So there's a certain like give and take to where like you basically, you can be given a foundation, but you need to go out and like experiment and try and build on that yourself.
Right.
So
absolutely. It's kind of a game of capture the flag.
Right.
You capture the flag, someone puts up a defense. Got to find a new way to capture the flag. You capture it again, new defense. New attack, new defense.
Yeah.
And that's the push and pull you play in this market.
That's 100% like the thing that I think you and I are both kind of dealing with right now, is like, especially just in relation to Blur, where it's like, okay, yeah, there's this new strategy. It works for literally maybe a couple hours, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. So you have to reshift your thinking and find something else. Like, there's no just set and forget with this, which is why it goes back to, I think this is going to be worth it in the end. That's a bet that I'm willing to take though, with my time and my capital.
Absolutely.
So let's hop into some Twitter questions real quick, and then we can wrap up episode 25. But let's see here. Let's start with some crypto stuff. How about this? Space feels like it's dying. Thoughts?
No. I mean,
I got the
you haven't
opposite
seen.
feel.
Yeah, like dead was in July. It was in June when Luna had just imploded. The timeline is literally silent. You have people posting like goodbye messages. That was dead.
That was 100% dead. Right now, it feels like we're kind of like on and popping again. So I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like people are excited.
Vibes. Yeah, I would say check your like. Sometimes you get stuck in these weird like echo chambers on Twitter with some of the people you follow. If you're following people who are just doom and gloom posting, yeah, maybe you think the space is dying, but I think that's maybe just a wake up call of like, all right, let me check my own bias, because maybe I'm just stuck in this, again, this like negative feedback loop.
Yeah, I mean, the space is dying. Yuga just announced this 12-fold mint that is a 300 supply that we just like assumed is going to make $6 million or something for them. Like, okay, space is dead. Sure.
I don't know. Either way, I think yeah, either way, that's silly.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just having a bad day. Let's see. What's a deal breaker for when evaluating founders to support? Number one immediate red flag is if a project or a founder is talking of anything about price with their token, bail.
Yep.
10 out of 10 times it ends up either a rug or they nuke that same day. I mean,
Yep.
you just saw it with Rollbit recently. They posted the chart on their Twitter saying they went parabolic, and then literally a couple hours later, they nuked, I think, like 80%.
Yep.
You don't want someone focused on price. It's just like not where your head should be. You should just be building, and like if you put in the time and the effort, good things will come.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one for me too. You never see big players in the space giving a shit about the price of what they're building. They have a vision and they're just seeing it through. Whatever the market values that vision at is a different story, and that's not the builder's concern.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's my one big red flag. There's probably others, but
another one for me is if we're talking, NFTs in like specifically, when a team comes out and says like, we're the next X, we're the next Yuga Labs, we're the next D Gods, we're the next Azukis.
That's a good one.
I'm out. Like,
yeah.
Congratulations. You have those aspirations to be a copycat, but like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to buy a copycat. I'm not here for someone whose only goal is to flip another collection, because when it boils down, you're just talking about price.
Exactly. It's just, it all comes back to that, right? But that's a good one. If you're comparing yourself, you've already lost.
Yep. The biggest advantage you have in this space is being yourself. Like, no one else can be you. No one else can be Azuki. No one else can be Yuga Labs. Yep. That's their edge.
And everyone,
your edge is being Ethersole. It's that simple.
Everyone appreciates originals because in this space, it's all about just, oh, let me fork this because it worked for someone else. Like, it's an easy way to, make some quick cash. I mean, that is like the ethos of this space. Everyone is just copying each other because when they find something and it works, 1,000 copycats spin up. That's not what you want to be, because almost 1,000 times out of 1,000, those copycats end up dying real quick.
Yeah. I actually don't know many copycats that went on to succeed.
No, I was trying to think of some off the top of my head, and I really can't.
I'm stuck with Ohm because there's so many Ohm forks, but then Ohm also imploded. So
but it's like still
okay, the copycats and the original died.
If you're in DeFi, there's so many people who are gonna hear that and be like, "What the fuck, man? Ohm's alive," because they just ride or die for it. I mean, they have such a large treasury and they're doing this whole like protocol and liquidity thing. So there's some people who are definitely gonna DM me about this specific conversation. But
fight my battle for me.
I definitely will end up having to. That's hilarious.
The number went down.
I know, right? Oh yeah, I mean, it got wrecked. And then anyone who puts up a chart, they're like, "Oh, you don't factor in rebasing in the chart. It's just a price and all this stuff." It's like, oh man, it sounds like cope. But
heard that before.
I get their argument, but again, it's like, all right, let's relax a bit.
Yeah, back to the point at hand though is like being copycats, you usually don't do well.
Yeah, it's not a good look either. So either way, I would say avoid those two things. Someone who's trying to compare themselves to a market leader in a way that like they're the new of that, and then also price. So see you later. NFTs, let's move into that. Wondering if Ethersole is still the wall. Duh. Next question.
Easy.
Dude, we're having so much fun with blur farming. It's like getting a little ridiculous. But again, I think the only thing I'll say on that, because we've been pretty heavy on this topic, is that you can do it with any amount of capital. And I will definitely call people out at the end of this thing when season 2 rewards drop, saying it's like a whales game or something like that. You can find ways to win. I mean, even this morning, like we found a way that, I don't know, say like 0.05 ETH can get you a couple points real quick. If you just find these strategies, people, it's out there. But we're not like, either way, not going to harp on that. Did you have anything to say on that?
No, I think you summed it up really great. We've had a lot of conversations about blur. I don't want to beat a horse dead. Continue to be the wall.
Yep. Okay, let's see. There's been a ton of questions about Momoguro. Who are they? There's an NFT project that's coming out, I think tomorrow. Who are they? Was it Disney they're associated with?
Pixar, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
If we
it's
just
one of
get our
those.
voices real high, maybe we'll.
That's how you know we're like not sure of the answer we're giving.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
ooh, maybe
It's the
Pixar.
automatic out.
Yeah, it's one of those
It's
things
hyped.
that it's in their team is what I would consider on like the very like tipping point of a deal breaker for me. Like the more star-studded team you have, the more I'm like, seems a little too good to be true. I've seen this go poorly
Yeah.
before. But people
Can
are
you
hyped
live up
about
to
it. Yeah,
hype? Like that's always the tough one. Like once you're hyped, you can. I hate to say this, but you can only go down. It seems if you launch from nothing, though, you can only go up because it's like
exactly.
okay, either you fail and it's just what you were expected to do, or you rise from the ashes and all of a sudden you're this like shiny new hotshot. But if you're coming in with a ton of hype, it's usually one of those things of like, ooh, okay, it could be a quick burn.
Right. You have to have a game plan to continue that hype and hold market attention until you've gotten through the trading phase into the
Yep.
accumulation phase. If you can't do that, you're set up for failure. And that's a hard thing to get through.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Again, we'll touch
Yeah.
on it here. Um,
Yeah. I've got no thoughts on it other than I'll be paying attention.
yeah, same. It's like one of the most hyped NFT launches in a minute, so obviously we'll be paying attention. Okay, let's hop into some miscellaneous. We did a couple crypto, a couple of NFTs. This one I have to get to. Why
Yeah. Say
can't
it.
Bender say Worcestershire sauce?
K-
What is that from? How does this a question?
There's a tweet where I don't even know what the context of it was, but I was just trying to explain how like that word makes zero sense in my mind and like how do you pronounce it? And I was trying to type it out phonetically in a bunch of different ways in various tweets.
Yeah.
And I think it got retweeted recently or someone dug it up and was like, what are you trying to say here in all caps with a bunch of W's, S's, H's, and E's? Why
Okay,
can't I
so
say
it's
it? Because I don't think anyone can say it. I think it was the test bed of the English language in like Essex, England. And they were
that's
like, what if we
hilarious.
made the worst word possible? And then the Irish were like, okay, well, let me take a shot at this. And we got Worcestershire sauce or whatever it might be.
I think you just nailed it, to be honest. That's
Man, I'm never
impressive.
saying it again. One and done, baby.
Oh my god. What is your go-to song to have a GM? You know what is actually the go-to song for me recently is that have you seen the video that Kaleo posts anytime it's a have a good morning bulls?
No.
Oh my god, dude, you have to go look at it. So I guess we'll plug him real quick, but he always posts it have a good morning bulls and it's this video of this guy on a keyboard and he's like singing into mic, bro. It is hilarious. I literally blast that anytime I need a little pick me up for the morning.
Hell yes.
It's so funny. I would like go into a full blown song and dance on this, but I'm absolutely not doing that because your boy needs just a little more coffee for that. Maybe
Ooh,
next
that's going
time.
to be a lot of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I need like to freebase the coffee basically.
Yeah, there you go. I don't have a go-to song for Have a Good Morning. Actually, I've been told many times I need to listen to more music because I spend a lot of time just working in silence with no music on and no background noise.
Yeah.
So my go-to like Have a Good Morning song is like the sound of silence as I like begrudgingly sip my tea and be annoyed that I'm awake.
I mean, that is a sound, so you can't really knock that answer.
Can't knock it. You can critique it though.
You can't knock it till you try it. So maybe
Exactly.
get out there and just be quiet for a little bit.
Okay, hold on. This is a good question. How do you
Okay.
intend to scale this project for the entire vision you have? No more information. I have no idea what this project is, but I was just thinking about this last night. In the NFT space, there's vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. Vertical being price go up, you get higher participants at higher cost values. Horizontal is price stay linear, meaning it stays at, I don't know, 0.01, and you get more people across the board. So the word scale is fun in this context. I don't know what the project is, but if the notion of scale is user onboarding, you keep it short, you keep it a small amount. If the point of scale is to get high value users, you keep it a high price point. It's a fun concept that I keep thinking about of like, what is scale in the NFT space and what does it mean to NFT founders? And I always go back to like the notion of vertical and horizontal scaling, which comes from the software engineering background of, many clusters versus one very strong cluster, very strong being vertical, many being horizontal. Fun concept, but I don't think it applies to the vision. I think the vision is indicative of the scale. So if your vision is X, Y, and Z, the scale comes as the vision is actualized. If your vision is X, Y, and Z and you deliver your vision, but you have 100 people on board with you, you scale vertically. You give immense value to those 100 people. If you have X, Y, and Z as your vision and 10,000 people, 100,000 people are coming running saying you want this, then you scale horizontally. That's what you saw Yuga Labs do. BAYC popped off. They said people want in the community. Mutants, 20,000 more. Mutants went up too. BAC goes up again. More people want in. They say, okay, other deeds, 100,000 supply. People still want in. ApeCoin, very low price point. Horizontal scale versus horizontal scale. It's a fun concept.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to add to that because you pretty much nailed it. But I think I did watch an interview with Yuga, and they kind of like almost echoed what you just said, but in much simpler terms, where it's just like, yeah, we're tossing out a bunch of new stuff for people to join the ecosystem with. And like ApeCoin is literally the easiest way to do it, right? And anyone can almost get access because you could buy 0.01 of an ApeCoin. So
right.
I think they're kind of nailing that, which has, again, this like a dynamic of dilution where you can't just pump shit unless there's that demand. So I think they're very good at knowing how much demand they have. I mean, the demand for them is like, one of those things where they almost have too much. It's a great problem to have. But,
yeah,
if they keep managing that well, they'll do great. But as far as a new project, yeah, you kind of have to, this push and pull on demand versus horizontal scaling versus like vertical.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
a wild question that we just turned into like a gnarly little breakdown.
Yeah, incredibly vague question. I could pontificate about what it may be about, but it being vague is a lot more
for
interesting.
This project. I'm like, I literally thought they were talking about the podcast. I'm like, yeah, we got some sick like things lined up.
But even if you supplant the podcast into the project, it's still the same outcome of you can only scale as far as the community goes. Like I might have a product that's brilliant, but I have 100 users. I'm not going to scale to 10,000 clusters for 100 users. You scale as you grant more people access to the community. You scale as you need.
I think the main takeaway there is like we're nothing without the community.
Absolutely. Spot on.
So
otherwise it's just me and you listening to each other. And then we're a phone call.
I mean, then we just hop in the voice chat and we don't record it, right? So okay, actually real live update here. Actually, I don't know if it's like super live, but it's a CoinDesk article that just came out where Ethereum announced at ETH Denver that account abstraction is now live on the blockchain. This could help onboard a ton of people. For those wondering what that is, it's basically a way that you can recover your crypto if you lose your private key. Now, I don't exactly know how this works, and I'm not going to dive into it, but apparently it's live. Vitalik teased this back in like October of last year, and now it's like live and working.
That sounds sweet.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is and whatever the mechanics are, I'm sure there's some gigabrain out there to let us know. But still, I think that is definitely a layer that needs to be implemented at some point. I mean, again, a decentralization maxi could be like, no, that doesn't work. Like the private keys are going to be held somewhere. I mean, relax first off. And if you're trying to grow this space to where you like it's global adoption, you can't just have a scenario where someone loses all their entire net worth because they forgot like their key. You just can't have that.
Exactly.
So
you need guardrails for this to really take off.
Yeah. And like account security and like self-custody is just, it's such a hard concept for a lot of people because I mean, think about the amount of times people click forgot password on their freaking bank login. Like if you can't remember that, how are you about to self-custody your own crypto? I mean, come on, let's be real here. We're literally in the dial-up phase of crypto where you're connecting, don't pick up the home phone because it'll screw up my internet connection type deal.
Sounds like account abstraction is going to be a beautiful thing then.
Yeah. I mean, it onboards the masses, I feel like. So That's always a good thing.
I think it also bodes well for companies that want to have some crypto custody like Vanguard, Fidelity,
Yeah.
where there is a, hey, if something went cataclysmically wrong and you guys lost access to your wallets that are holding your user funds, we have a way to get them back. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's again, it's just something that moves the space forward. So we'll see how it all plays out. Maybe that's old news. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter just now. So
I didn't know
I'm
about
hoping
it.
it's
Sounds good to me.
perfect. See you later. All right, shit. I mean, anything else you want to add here? Otherwise, I think we put out like an efficient little pod.
I think so too. I think there's one question about the PSVR 2 coming out, I guess. And, we both have PS5s.
Yep.
We haven't played them together, but some content of like us both playing a VR game might be kind of funny.
I mean, I'm down. I think if I'll give the people what they want. Okay, that's what I'm known for. So if they want that kind of content, I'm here for it.
Spot on. Sounds entertaining to me too.
Again, we're gonna keep doing the spaces, the pods. Again, and the spaces are a little more random, people. So don't be expecting them every Friday because that ain't happening. But if you want a gaming content, let us know. Maybe we'll hop on and play some games with the listeners too, because that'd be funny.
Oh yeah, ton of fun. I'm down for that. Diablo 4 comes out soon.
Oh shit, we're gonna have to hop on that.
There we go.
But yeah, well, if you made it this far, thank you again for listening. Again, we appreciate each and every one of you. It's crazy that we're at episode 25. Wild to think about. Go hit the YouTube. Again, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Even a download on the podcast every week or like an auto download helps a ton. Just get the algorithm pumping. Share it with your friends if we're providing any sort of value. Main thing right now that we're like, just growing the Twitter. So that the Twitter is one thing that we just want to keep pushing. But other than that, really appreciate you guys listening. Keep sending in questions and we'll keep answering them and giving that alpha.
We'll always be here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we can sign off with that. If there's anything else you need to say, otherwise we'll kick it off.
I think we're good.
All right, guys. Again, thanks for tuning in. This was Trending Down episode 25. Peace.